How's this now? Yep. Good evening, everyone. I hope you've had a fantastic 2 days. And after that very inspiring session by Sanjay from Dhruva, we're going to sort of continue our space theme here. And I had three incredible young space tech founders here. So this panel is about human-machine collaboration in space. Fascinating area, as we all know. And we're going to dive into the cosmos of space tech, including space data, satellite imagery, and cutting-edge analytics, and how it's transforming, every industry and sector in this world. So my three panelists in no particular order. We have Avijeet Kumar Singh, founder Prateep. He's part of Arya.ag. They got acquired. Congratulations, Avijeet. And now he's the head of AI over there. And I want to mention he's a DeepTech Club, member. So great going, Avijeet. Next up, we have Prateep Basu, CEO of Satshore. He's also the Chief Product Officer, also part of DeepTech Club. That's 2 out of 3. And then we have Suyash Singh, co-founder and CEO of Galaxy. And congratulations, Suyash, on winning the League of 10 award at Emerge 50 yesterday. Let's give him a hand of applause. So what we'll do is, we'll play a quick video from each of them and then get into some interesting conversation. If you could play the video from Avijeet, please. Great job, Avijeet. So Avijeet, I'm sure the audience wants to hear, how did you get into space tech? What is the exact problem you're solving? I think we got a very good glimpse here. And what motivated you and the founding team to sort of try and attempt to solve this problem?
So the problem was a totally different kind of approach that we took. We started as an IoT company when we were finishing our college. But the cost to build up IoT devices or any kind of data capturing system was very high. And we figured out there are a couple of satellites which are freely available taking images of Earth every day. And what you need to do is just have to build some models over top of that. So we figured out it would eliminate the cost of data acquisition and can give a very good usage. And then we also saw the usage of satellite images or any kind of advisory or data to the farmers of the Indian ecosystem. Then we bridged these two gaps and created a neural network that can automatically start utilizing the images and advise the farmers on what to do, what not to do, any kind of tertiary information that the farmer needs to share with a company or an organization or the government, that's automated through the system. So
Got it.
basically, it's the utilization of data that we focused on.
Okay. And what was the trigger for sort of trying to solve this again?
Like, I am also from an agriculture background, like most of us are.
Right.
And this is a real world problem. Like, agriculture is a very fast moving commodity if you see. If you go to any parcel of land, like even this location will last for a few years or maybe 100 of years. But agriculture lasts for 3 months to 4 months only. In that time, sowing happens, stress happens, insects are there, weather is there, and even like after 120 days, it changes totally. So the fast moving changing data we were able to solve.
Got
That
it.
was the trigger point for us.
Very nice, very nice. And can you talk about, I know you got acquired, congratulations again. Can you talk about the current status of the product, any metrics, in terms of scale? If you could talk about any sort of innovation IP.
Yeah, so earlier we were monitoring around 3 to 5% of India on a daily basis.
Wow.
Now we are monitoring close to 70% of India on a daily basis. And the company which acquired us is the largest consumer of the data, so it created a very decent opportunity for us to scale the whole operations.
Got it. Fantastic, fantastic. Can we play Prateep's video, please?
You lead large projects and are known to deliver success. With a portfolio that spans across regions, you are dependent on your field staff for project implementation and updates. There are inaccuracies and delays in the information collected, and this leads to inefficiencies and increased business costs. This lack of control is stressful and gives you sleepless nights. Maybe the answer to your problem lies in the skies. Yes, you heard that right. SatSure uses historical and near real-time imagery captured by satellites. We use satellite data, machine learning algorithms, and our bespoke big data platform to deliver actionable insights straight to your enterprise dashboard. What does this mean? Smarter and faster decisions. How does SatSure make this happen? We build information flow systems through dedicated dashboards and mobile applications. The best part? These systems are customized to your organization's goals and requirements. Now teams across your organization can make better business decisions. Enjoy a good night's sleep as your friends in the skies do the work for you. SatSure's enterprise solutions empower you to make life better. Not just for yourself, but for your customers, employees, and society as well. Isn't it time to lead your organization's growth with decision intelligence from space? Write to us at info@satsure.co to find out how SatSure can deliver all this and more for you. For a company that brings you knowledge from space, we are pretty grounded and welcoming.
Thank you. So, yeah, Prateep, I think that gives us a good sense of, what problem you're trying to solve. Anything you want to add to that, or, what was the motivation of getting into this in the first place?
Yeah, that was a very generic video. I know it was made during COVID times. So, it was what we do at SatSure and how we got in the business. Let me maybe start with the second part, how we got here. So, from the age of 18, I would say we have been indoctrinated in the space sector. I'm from the first batch of Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology, which was established by ISRO, studying aerospace engineering, and then I worked in ISRO. Along with who is currently my co-founder, we kind of left ISRO 2013-ish and established our careers outside of India, like any other, the old story, decade back. But things were looking quite different, right? And I think after some time you also get bored eating bland food. So we got back and started SatSure because there was this overall global trend of increasing supply of Earth observation data. But that was more because of the smaller platforms, etc. Sanjay was speaking about it, right? So people like Sanjay, me, we all kind of were some of the early proponents or champions of the space industry before it became fashionable. And 2017 we started SatSure with the aim of actually utilizing this increasing data, for which we are putting up a lot of capital towards creating real world applications. As of today, we have solutions across agriculture, credit risk management, utilities, vegetation risk management, aviation, air traffic management, and also large commodities hedge funds who trade on large scale data. So the I would say journey has been interesting. We are today 160 people, and some of our early customers in the financial services domain invested in us, like HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank. They're investors today, and that's a bit of slightly more detailed version of what we do than the video.
Yeah, no, perfect. And can you again talk about, any sort of scale you've achieved, any IP innovation, where do you stand with your global competitors, peers, around the world?
So, in terms of scale, we have three offices, US and UK are subsidiaries. We actually got into US by acquiring a small US firm last year. We operate, when I say operate, customers, we have customers in 10 countries, which are spread across Latin America, North America, Asia Pacific, and India. 160 people, I just mentioned that. And in terms of IP, we have three patents that have been granted on the analytics side, AI side basically. Two are filed, and the way we are positioned as a company globally as a full stack Earth observation company. Full stack meaning that while we started our journey from the solution space, how do you actually solve a real life problem where Earth observation data is a component of it. As we grew, we saw the need for us to also control the natural resource of our business. So today, not only do we have the solutions, obviously the platform was the first thing we had to build, and beyond that, the natural resource is the data. So we have about $35 million investment now in operating 4 satellites that will be launched in 2025, and those are in optical, high resolution optical and multispectral domain. So honestly, there are only a few companies who have that expansive vision, maybe 3 or 4 in the world today. So yeah, that's where we are.
Fantastic, progress. Ladies and gentlemen, a space tech company from India for the world, really. Suyash, can we play his video next, please? Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, those were 3 good videos from the marketing team, so we need a hand of applause. Suyash, I know you're still to launch. You got the award yesterday. Would you like to just define the problem you're solving and sort of where you are, and what was the motivation of doing this in the first place?
Yeah, first of all, the video is actually before even we incorporated Galaxy. So that was just about to incorporate the company. I think, I never wanted to be in space tech in general, right? So it never was the point. Not even, when it started becoming famous as well. So I remember back in 2017 when there's another company called Agnikul, the launch vehicle company, which was starting from IIT Madras. And we were like in the same lab. So I started Hyperloop team, and I founded that in IIT Madras, took it to SpaceX in 2 years, ran successfully, but never had conviction to build something in space. And then most of our team members from Hyperloop team, after meeting, having a successful stint at SpaceX, coming back, meeting Mr. Elon Musk and whatnot, we kind of dispersed ourselves and went to different corporates. So I joined one of the corporates, and I was given a very interesting problem statement, right? So for example, like Avijeet and Prateep, I was working on a problem statement called forest fire monitoring. So, like forest fire in California was a problem, and I wanted to track that. So like any new person in space, I started looking for satellite imagery, and what I got was, you know, all smoke in that. Like, so an optical imagery was pretty much smoky, and during clouds, you can't see through what's happening there. Then, you know, I thought there has to be a solution for that. So started looking at other sources of satellite imagery. So I found something called synthetic aperture radar. So that was my first introduction to something like that, right? So it's a synthetic aperture radar imagery. Now, the good part about that imagery is it's always available. It can penetrate through clouds, can do nighttime imaging as well. But the, you know, not so good part is it's like X-ray, you know, so only doctors can read it, like very white dots and stuff. So on one hand, you have an optical imagery, which is very good, but not really available. On the other hand, you have SAR or synthetic aperture radar, which is available, but not really understandable. So, you know, that was a catch-22 situation. So read some papers, you know, worked here and there, and understood that if you merge these two imageries, you'll probably get something out of it. And that was my first introduction to data fusion from satellite imagery perspective, right? Started applying to different use cases, couldn't really do much. And then, you know, I gathered my Avengers back from my Hyperloop team and said, hey, you know, there's a large gap in this entire market. Let's bring optical and SAR together more comprehensively from space to make the most, you know, intuitive and all-time, all-weather available imagery. So that is how it started, and started building that satellite.
Fantastic. Can you talk about any IP innovation, differentiation, you know, with your global peers?
Yeah, so this is, in our understanding, this is the world's first multi-sensor imaging satellite that's going to go in space. There has been some different configurations, but those companies don't exist now. So we're the only one probably in the global context as well. In India, we're the only one in SAR or anyone doing synthetic aperture radar outside of ISRO. So that pretty much is on the technology side, right? An interesting fact is, you know, when SAR or radar imagery, which is like grayscale, always available, it is always available. But when it comes to optical, it is cloudy. So in that situation, what do you do? So what we do is we regenerate optical imagery from SAR. So that's kind of a, in today we call it generative AI, but that is something that we achieve through physics.
Fantastic. First in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. So, Avijeet, I want to come back to you. You're an AI guru, and you know, we apply AI for so many verticals and use cases, right? You're applying it to tier 2, tier 3, to the farmers. Can you talk about that segment and how it's changing their lives?
So the major problem that we saw people across rural India were facing was any kind of data collection. So filling a form is still a very big task for them. So what we did was we automated this particular effort. So any farmer who wants to take a loan or who wants to, let's say, sell his produce or her produce or want to purchase anything, they needed a lot of paperwork to reach to a financial agreement with any company. So that part we automated using our data set. So if farmers are onboarded on our network, these kind of automated reports on behalf of farmers are sent to these enterprises. So this is how they were able to utilize without even seeing the data, basically.
Got it. Prateep, in your case, you know, with agrofinance, you're improving the financial inclusion for small, you know, landholder farmers, right? And you're the first company to do edge computing in India and so on. Like, what is the impact that's happened? Like, you know, what does it feel like?
Yeah, very diverse things, you know, edge computing space and then smallholder farmers financing. So, I'll give you an example. Now we are speaking at the space panel, so perhaps many people will not know that the average time to even renew an existing loan to a farmer, forget a new loan, would be 10 to 15 days. A new loan could take 30 to 45 days easily. And this will be even for small ticket loans, 1.5 lakhs to 4 lakh rupees. Today, as a lot of there is a lot of buzz about 5-minute, 10-minute loans that banks are offering for smallholder farmers. Behind every such product, loan product, is that sure. That's the thing. We enabled the checks just like a civil check was happening. So just like a CIBIL check was happening, CIBIL score 798, 780, you can avail 4 lakh personal loan. Bajaj Finance keeps calling you. Then the same thing happened with in the farmers' case, because the biggest part of their let's say default risk is the income from the farm, and the income from the farm is based on the land area, the crop, and also the risk factors around climate, water, and all. Once you automate that check with the satellite image and analytics developed on top of it, then you don't have to go to distant villages to do that. Farmers don't have to come and stand in queues and get this done. The impact on cost of customer acquisition, cost of customer servicing, and the risk has drastically changed the way now agriculture banking will be done. And India is, by the way, leading this. Globally, people tried it, none could crack it. India, we would be one of the people who would have contributed. I will not take all the credit. There are a lot of other good people who have built this. So you can, I would say, look forward to the next UPI movement actually happening in agri-finance, and satellite imagery and analytics will be is a very significant denominator in enabling that. So that's one. The second part, which is said edge computing in space. So now, as I mentioned earlier, that our we have gone upstream, where from solutions now we are building the going to operate our satellites. We are building the payloads. So one of the key things for us was sometimes there can be this clouds, etc., right? And Suyash was mentioning that data is useless, but we don't know whether we have captured cloudy data when the satellite is capturing. We end up spending a lot of money downlinking it, wasting time, and then see the data is useless. However, when you are able to run the algorithms on ground in space and detect the clouds, reject the image, take the capture in the next part, do certain analysis like floods, damage, etc. on the fly, you change the two things: the turnaround time from 24 to 48 hours to a few hours. Number two, you optimize 99.9% of the data from a huge image to just the necessary things. How it impacts? You take disasters, you take defense applications. It should not take 10 days for our defense to understand how to respond to an attack and where to hit, So those are the kind of applications which edge computing enables. So that's the breadth of SatSure, from smallholder financing to defense.
Fantastic, fantastic. No, thank you for that. Suyash, you're in an incredibly exciting space, right? And like, where are the next generation satellites headed? Like, what will manufacturing look like? I mean, with this whole world going commodity, right?
Yeah, I think 10 years before, we were involved in building a Volvo-sized satellites, really. I think 10 to 15 years ago. And then, suddenly a wave came, which in fact Sanjay was also talking in the last session, where we started building CubeSats, shoebox satellites and whatnot. And, we identified that we can miniaturize the entire Volvo-sized satellites into a CubeSat and then send it to space and do some things. But then, that has its own limitations. You can't really go beyond a point in the application side through a CubeSat. So again, we kind of learned through that and moving towards more meaningful satellites, right? So you can't be on the CubeSat and you can't be on the Volvo size, and we have actually calibrated ourselves to make a mini fridge size of satellites, right? So that's where we are moving on. Cost of a space grade component is a lot, right? For example, if you're taking a hobby component, hobby electronics, then you take commercial electronics, then you mill grade, and then space grade. Space grade is the max. But in LEO or low Earth orbit, essentially, we have found that we don't need to use space grade components. You can still do commercial components, and you can do a screening of them. So the cost of building a satellite is coming down. The cost of launching a satellite is coming down, and hence, we are able to put more and more things. For example, Prateep talked about the edge computer, right? Putting an edge compute is power hungry. Running a computer vision algorithm on a satellite, God save you for that. Because satellite can only be powered for 3 minutes in an orbit of 90 minutes, and beyond that, it's just in the sleep mode. It's trying to survive. Now, if you're trying to do power-hungry things, it's going to be costly for you. So I think the next generation, next generational things, whatever we try here on Earth can be tried out in space, and slowly and gradually we are moving towards those kind of electronics. So the innovation will actually spur when the cost of the components actually come down, and that's happening.
Got it. Now we're almost out of time. Couple of quick rapid fire questions, if you could be brief. First one, like, we hear a lot about the ISRO story, right? And the talent at ISRO, right? Very, very unique story. I mean, what is your view of talent in your sector? Anyone? How to acquire that talent, what kind of talent that is?
Yeah, I think talent is, in my opinion, of course, a lot of credibility comes from ISRO, a lot of credibility comes from DRDO. It's the credibility of working on a space-grade component, right? And what works in space. That know-how is still not being taught in the institutes.
Yep.
So you have to be reliant on such institutions.
Okay.
But at the same time, if you see, it's the same electronics. It's the same algorithm. It is the same bunch of system coming together. So I think we pretty much have talent, whoever is, probably going to the Continentals of the world or the Bosches of the world, can also come and join satellite engineering teams. Although there has to be a little bit of guidance from people who have experience in building space.
Got it. Anyone else? Anything you want to add? Very briefly.
Well, I have slightly different view now that we have 160 people. I think initially finding those 50 people is easy. But after that, building your scale becomes difficult because as a startup, you don't have enough time to actually invest in a L&D, and what you are doing is very specialized in the kind of companies Suyash, me, Avijeet are. And unfortunately, everyone is data scientist, everyone is product manager, and still no one meets the the requirement. So that's where we are short.
Okay, got it. Your gentlemen, your views on the future of space tech from India. Anything brief?
The space is going to bring sustainability,
Okay.
and India will lead that for sure.
Okay.
That's my view.
All right. Suyash, anything from you?
Yeah, I think, we have launched Chandrayaan-3 just for $64 million. It takes US to set up a department for $64 million.
Right.
So, that is just the tip of the iceberg, and there's a lot that's coming around.
Okay. Prateep?
I think there is a lot to do. I'm glad that ISRO is taking up a lot of exploration missions. I am hoping that we'll have a lot of unmanned missions, robotic missions to asteroids, comets, understand the science of how our universe works before that our solar system, and set the foundation that next century perhaps we can, even if we identify the habitable planets, we have the means to go there. Otherwise we have one planet and we should use at least some amount of resources to preserve it.
Yeah, fantastic. Now we have the entire ecosystem here. What do you expect? What kind of support do you expect from the ecosystem to make you go faster, better, cheaper?
I think definitely talent, no doubts on that. The specialized talent is yet to be explored more. Then of course, in space, which is a wing of ISRO, has been extremely, extremely active, I would say. They also are learning as they go along. So there's an intent to help space companies, startups to move forward. It will happen in a couple of years down the line. That's what I can say.
Well, anyone else?
Companies can consume local products, like a startup can consume other startups' product. This is how we can help each other.
Right, eat our own dog food. Got it. Well, with that, Prateep, Suyash, Avijeet, I really want to thank you for your time here, for your inspiring journey. All the best, and for putting India on the world map in space tech. Thank you very much.